I'll show you so you can see once we go live. I'll show you so you can see once we go live. Okay, so close that. Got it. Right here where it says record.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Click on that. We want to record to cloud.
Okay.
And just click on that when you get started. So lights. Center. Go ahead and get started this time.
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you.
I didn't hear anything said before. Did it say recording?
I clicked it.
Sure.
Oh, unable to record. Okay. Okay.
Hit it again one more time. Recording. What says recording?
Here.
Mm-hmm. I can't see it.
Okay, yeah. Or the cloud. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Again, peace be upon you. This is our Sunday presentation, Islamic presentation. I'm Lawrence Najib, and I'll be your presenter this morning. I would like to do a presentation on something that I did about a month ago, a topic that I did for Juma. Of course, you know, when Juma, our Juma prayer is really limited to just maybe 20, 30 minutes of talk. Sometimes they go a little longer at 40, 45 minutes. But usually you can't, the Juma prayer, you only get certain information on a particular topic that you may have chosen. And you really don't have time to go into details. So our Sunday presentation, and this is what Islamic presentation is for. We may call it Talim. When this Talim, we're able to, go a little further in details and explanation, and also, if anyone have questions, can ask questions about, the particular topic or message that are being given. So, that being said, the topic is Cain and Abel. Cain and Abel. As I said, I did this about a month ago, the Juma prayer. And Cain and Abel is, of course, we hear about this story, we read about it in our scriptures. It's a story about the two sons of Adam. One named Cain, one named Abel. And also it's a Bible in the Quranic a story where two brothers, they offered a sacrifice, they made a sacrifice to God. And of course, one sacrifice was accepted by one brother, from one brother, but rejected from another. Of course, we know the brother that Allah accepted the sacrifice was from Abel. Allah accepted his sacrifice, and he rejected Cain's sacrifice. And of course, these stories here, we understand that, we see these stories, when we read about it, we have to understand when Allah gives stories about people, and especially in certain situations when women names are mentioned, it's much broader than those individuals. It was two individuals, or those individuals, the names of those individuals. So the story of Cain and Abel, where these two brothers, well, one killed another in his rage, in his jealousy, because his offering to God was rejected. Now, there are several things that we want to look at here. The first thing we want to look at Abel. Who is Abel?
Son of
Adam.
Cain and Abel.
The second is, who is Cain?
It's the other son.
Now, here's a question here. Might throw you off a little bit. Who was Cain's mother? So these are some of the things we want to look at. And we also want to look at, say again?
Why go back? I'm going to say.
Okay,
Whatever.
that's good enough answer. The sacrifice or the offering to God and the killing of Abel. So we're going to talk about Abel, Cain, Cain's mother, the sacrifice for the offering to God, and the killing of Abel by his brother Cain. Now, in the Bible, in Genesis, Abel is said to be a herder of sheep. A herd of sheep. When we look at a sheep is an animal, of course, is a very peaceful animal. It has a very peaceful nature. But there's other things about the sheep. You know, a sheep has wool. It grows wool, and the wool has to be shedded. You know, every I don't know how often, but it has to be shedded when it gets so heavy and thick, especially when it starts to get weather get warm. It has to be shedded. So a sheep is an animal with wool, more wool than it needs. Wool from the sheep, we can make wool coats, wool sweaters, wool blankets, maybe some wool shoes. It's an animal that gives more of what it needs, gives more of what it needs. And when we, we actually slaughter the animal and eat its meat. So it gives and gives and gives. It gives more out of what it does need. The point here is the sheep has more to offer to humanity. It has more to offer to humanity of itself. So this is when we look at these, these metaphors, that's in Bible and Quran, we are to understand them in a higher sense than what we're just reading and what is, the message that God has given. So God has provided it with, it get more out of what it needs or what God has provided it with. It gives from his own nature, the own good nature that God has given it. This is the animal we're talking about. So give from that good nature. We all have that good nature. We all had that good human nature. And out of that human nature that God has put in every single human being, we are supposed to give from that nature. From that nature. So we look at Abel. Abel is, what is dhikr? Remembrance of what? Of Allah. The remembrance of Allah. So it is thinking and reflecting on God and wanting to please him. This is dhikr. We know the month of Ramadan is coming up in just about 2 or 3 days. And this is the time that we want to remember Allah much and often. And one of the ways we do it, of course, is prayer. It's the main the way that we remember God is through salat. That's the second pillar of faith is prayer, salat. But there's many times, dhikr is done all throughout our life, even when we're not engaged in actual prayer. That when we do dhikr, some people may think that dhikr is just sitting counting their fingers or counting some beads. That's remembering God, of course. Yes, that's remembering Allah. But the remembrance of Allah is in every aspect of our life, every moment of our life. Every turn in every second of our life is to bring God to remembrance. That's the dhikr. The remembrance of God is the what? The greatest thing. So Abel represents Zechariah, is thinking and reflecting on God and wanted to please him. And it said that Abel was older and was the son of Adam. He was older than Cain. Now, what are we talking about here? Because we know when we read the Bible, it said Cain came first, right?
Mhm.
And that's true. And he would say Abel was older and descendant. He was the son of Adam or descendant of Adam. Now we know that the Bible says that Cain came first. The Bible gives us a picture of two brothers, two men, two individuals, one taking out the other. So this is what the world has painted this picture in our minds. And that's hard to get out. It is. Without, even when we hear, it's still those images that we have of the world that has given us in religion. That's what we see in our psychology, in our makeup, in psychological makeup. So, yes, but the Quran is much, much broader. It's much broader. So we're talking about the development of the two different societies who made an offering to God from the knowledge and the skill that Allah has provided them with. Two developing societies that made an offering to God for what God has blessed us with. The knowledge and the understanding that God has blessed us with, they made an offering. Abel represents the flesh appetite being obedient to God, that which the womb brings forth. This is Abel. It is the flesh appetite, or the appetite of the flesh, the human makeup, the human sentiments that has that connection with its creator and trying to be obedient to his creator through his nature. This is Abel. Now we're talking about the human family, the whole human family. After Adam, he had two sons. Now, in studying Imam Muhammad's, in studying his wisdom, we understand that Adam we're all Adams. Is that correct? We all Adam. So when Adam have these two sons, what is it talking about?
The social order and the spiritual order.
But that's a good way of saying it. Two different order.
And also you said, the Bible said that Cain physically came first.
When we read the Bible, you'll read that Cain was born first.
So the defective nature, the innocent nature,
But when we read the Bible, go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
the
Finish.
physical nature, the innocent nature is, that's why it said Abel is old.
Well,
That original nature comes before you build up society physically with Tubal Cain and Jubal Cain. You want to build upon the correct or innocent nature.
talking about the society, yes. You're on the right track. Yes.
Is there any more innocent nature after they ate off the fruit or whatever? Is that even a thing anymore?
After they ate the fruit.
Yeah, well, parents
that's correct.
already.
Okay,
Corrupting it, that's
Yeah.
correct.
we're gonna get to that little part right there.
That's correct.
That's when we're gonna get to that little part. Yes, that's where the wife come in. That's where the mother comes in. Okay, now, so Abel represents the flesh appetite being obedient to God. our obedience to God in our human nature. And Cain is said to be a person of the land, a children of the land, an industrialist, the development of the industry. Now, he is considered to be from Eve. Now, that takes us back to Eve. Who was Eve?
Abel was not from Eve.
Spiritual.
Okay. Not the type of Eve that Imam Muhammad is giving us and explaining to us. Because Eve here said, Cain is a person of the land, a tilted of the land, an industrial. We're talking about the development societies.
Okay.
These societies of development, these metaphors, yes. The industry, the development of industry, he is considered to be from Eve, a child, and this is in Bible, a child, she said that she got from the Lord by deceiving Adam out of his fair nature. Now, if you want to go to the Bible in Genesis 4:1, it reads, this is the quote. And Adam knew his wife. And Adam knew Eve, his wife. And she conceived and bare Cain and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. Now, you remember Muhammad break that down. He break that down by saying that he had to deceive. She has used deception. Eve used deception. Now, this meaning, let me go back and read this meaning of the Bible. Sometimes this glasses gets in the way. And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. Meaning that she deceived Adam out of his fair nature of obedience, his behavioral nature. Now, remember, according to the Bible, the serpent, what did he do?
He tricked her.
He tricked her.
Yeah.
He deceived Eve by tricking her into eating the forbidden fruit. Now, we know that the forbidden fruit is not a fruit, but he deceived her by tricking her to eating from the forbidden tree, taken from the forbidden tree. So, and in Genesis also chapter 3, 4, and 5, it tells you about Eve, how she deceived her. Now, how the snake deceived her, the serpent. Now, this deception that the serpent approached Eve with, now, and then what she do? She offered the fruit to Adam, right? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, well, according to that, yes, that's the way it happened. But if he was told, just like she was told, and he's the man, but he not still resisting, said Allah told me not to.
But we have to understand this. First of all, we got to understand that this is not talking about two different individual people. We are dealing with community development, society development. Leadership, Adam represents the moral leadership that Allah had put in him for human family. And Imam Muhammad said in one of his books, he said, when we turn towards the Kaaba, we orienting to ourselves towards Adam, the first man, the first human family, the first prophet of God, the first inspired man that Allah inspired with a message for the whole human family. So this is the leadership. So the difference here is between Eve in the Bible, and Allah doesn't mention Eve. Allah says what? His wife. So what is his wife? His compatible interest, his compatibility. So it's talking about his whole human makeup, and Eve is that part of him, is a part of Adam, the human family that went and allowed itself to be deceived by the influences that a shaitan has put out there in the society. So Eve here is the one that was used as deception. And out of that deception came what? Cain. This is what it meant by Cain was from Eve, a child of Eve. Cain came out of that deception. So it represents deception, being deceived. And I got ahead of myself, actually. So, no. Then you stop asking the question. So here. So she got him to also take up the forbidden tree using deception. And out of that came the deception that was said, let's take a closer look at the meaning of Eve. Actually, can I explain that? Now, this will take us to Imam Muhammad's The Mystery of Christ Revealed. Who read that or heard of it? The Mystery of Christ Revealed.
I read it sometime.
In the Bible, Eve doesn't represent a woman, but a type of trouble that takes over certain societies. This is what Imam Muhammad wrote in his Mystery of Christ Revealed. So Eve does not represent a woman, but it's type of trouble. So it's a type of trouble that creeps into a society in order to deceive it. So, so it seems like I'm kind of getting, you okay?
Yeah, feminism is rejected.
No problem. See, this is what this understanding has done, because they never has shown that.
Explain the meaning and what it represents.
Ma'am.
Don't look at it the other way. Look at it for what it is, because that is a type. So I'm
Mhm.
glad you're breaking it down and explaining it.
So Imam, he said he doesn't represent a woman, but represent a type of trouble. Now he gives other examples. Jezebel. We heard of those. And we heard, certain people called a woman that type of name. Remember Sanford and Son used to call this. He used to call women that all the time.
Like Mother Nature and things like that.
Mhm.
What it represents.
Solomon the Delilah, Solomon Gomorrah. So these are types. This is a type of trouble that comes into community, and they use, they give them feminine name. They used to name hurricane after women all the time, right? Women got tired of that, so they had to start naming some of them after men. Then they start switching back and forth.
That to the nature of a woman, though. That's why they did it.
I know.
Stormy,
Hysterical.
uncontrollable.
That's
Man have those same traits. So.
exactly. So this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So going back to Cain to being the child of Eve, so Cain came out of that deception. It doesn't matter that they had a different mother, different father, if you want to look at it like that. But it's talking about two developing society. One gave itself to worshiping God, and it gave itself, it gave its nature, his human nature to God. Wanted to please God and whatever God wanted. So we studied about Prophet Muhammad, and one of the figures that the man that came before Prophet Muhammad was called Zayd, right? Mm-hmm. Zayd was a man that he just wanted to worship God in the purest form. He just didn't know. He just didn't know what that form was. And he prayed and prayed and prayed. So if I just knew, I would worship you in that form. So this is the same type of heart, same type of sentiment, and same type of thinking of Adam. Adam represents that thinking on God, reflecting on God, and want to please God in whatever God wants in life, whatever he wants from me. But Cain is different. So actually, using the same type, when Imam was pointing out another thing, when women names are used, he said all throughout scripture. when we read about the women name, it's not talking about the woman, it's talking about the developing society. And he used Mary, also a society type, a righteous society type. So if woman in scripture represent society type, Mary also represents society type. That good, living, God-fearing society type, or type of society, waiting on a prophet to be born from among his people. So this is also, that little bit is also in the mystery of Christ revealed. So he's pointing out to there that these women that they use these name women in scripture is not talking about a woman, a physical woman. It's talking about community, developing community, a developing society, a type of society. So do you have any questions on what we're talking about so far? Any kind of question, Okay. Cain and Abel, two different type of developing society. One giving itself to God and offering to God from what God has blessed it with in its human nature. The other one is more oriented toward physical, material things, the material development of man, the human intellect. This is Cain, the intellect, how smart he is, how intelligent he is, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So let's go to Holy Quran. We have the Quran out. Nobody? Okay. But that's okay. In the Quran, you don't have to get up and get it. In Surah 2, ayat 33, 35, and 36. In Surah 2, chapter 2, verse 33, 35, and 36. Allah addresses three types of people. He addressed three types of people. In 33, Allah addresses Adam in the singular. When Allah told Adam to tell the angels the nature of his creation. Is that right? Right. The nature of his creation, he addresses Adam. And tell them the names. He tells Adam to tell the angels the name. In ayah 35 or verse 35, Allah addresses Adam and his wife in the duel. Adam and his wife. He tells them to dwell in the garden and take up all the good things, eat up the good things in life and stay away from a certain type of shajarat. Shajarat. What's shajarat? Come on. No. Tree.
Tree, that's right.
But tree has more than really just a physical tree, a certain type of thinking, a certain type of mindset. Stay away from that certain type of influence of the mind.
That's 235, you said.
Surah 2, it just is three ayahs. Ayahs 33, 35, and 36. And then 36, Allah addresses Adam in the plural. When he said, "Oh, ye people, get out of the garden, get out of here, get down in the earth." So he first addressed Adam in the singular, then into the dual, Adam and his wife, and then in the plural. All you types, all ye types. There was no place in heaven with all the types. So this type of thinking, this type of corruption, this type of thinking, this type of disobedience, this type of questioning, it is not allowed in heaven. So Allah tells it, there's no place in here. You tell them to get down. And this is actually, if you can see the connection, that the connection with Cain in the offering that he making to God, out his intellect, his smartness, his intelligence, or whatever it is that he's presented to God from his own man, because God gave him, but he wants to go and present to God or something that what he think God is going to accept. So from this deception come Cain, or Cain is born out of this type of deception.
So he's trying to go through the industrial development without the influence of a lot.
Exactly. Going through industrial development and not being guided, not allowing his guidance to be done from his human connection, his behavioral nature that God has put in. God has given every human being, every creature, its behavioral nature. Every human being. Now, when we deviate from that, we want to, we think that we have whatever we have. Oh, I thought you were saying something. And we think because what we have, our intelligence. What type of thinking is that? That's Jinn thinking, isn't it? That's Jinn. That's Jinn thinking. Jinn thought, he thought that he should be the leader. Right, because of his intelligence, his smartness. But Allah said, I'm making Adam the Khalifa, not Jinn. And I order you to bow to him, but he refused.
Intelligence with the influence of Allah.
So from this deception came Cain. Cain was born. So Eve became Cain. Now this is the part where Eve becomes his mother. So he came out of this deception that was influenced into Eve's thinking from the serpent. That deception came into it. And he became the product of Eve in deception. Now, Eve, the mother, Cain's mother, or his influence instead of God. So Eve became Cain's mother or influenced Cain instead of God. Abel is the descendant of Adam in his moral nature. Abel stayed with his moral nature. That's saying he would descend as Adam because Adam is the first father, right? The first moral upright nature. So Abel stayed with that excuse me, get tongue tied. Abel stayed with that moral nature. He kept his moral nature and he offered that to God. And what he did in life, he offered it to God, but Cain did not. So,
And though, what happens to, in our families, with our children, some of our children take after the fathers, and then some of our children take after the mother, even though we
it's back. But it wasn't on down there. Okay. So Abram is the descendant of Adam in his moral makeup, his moral nature. Cain didn't stay with that moral nature. He left his moral nature. His development came out of the influence that he received from his mother, Eve, that type of society that was influenced. And it caused deception. Abel offered the obedience of the flesh to God, and Cain offered the fruit of the ground. That's what the Bible says, the fruit of the ground. What the ground will come out of the ground, the earth. But God, he did not, pardon me. Abel offered the obedience of the flesh to God, and Cain offered the fruit of the ground to God, but he did not obey God in his nature. He did not obey God in his behavioral nature. He thought that what he was pleasing God for progressing the what? The intellect, the mind. That sound like jinn.
Without the influence.
With it, that sound like, exactly. He thought about it. Now, don't we see some people in life because of their sharp intelligence, their progress, and all the progress they have made with their intellect, but they don't recognize God?
Right.
They won't. In the science world, we see a lot in the science world, science discovery. They go all out into space, discover all type of stars and planets and everything out there in space. But they would not say, praise be to God. Alhamdulillah. Well, thank God. You might hear that sometime. But they would not give the creator the credit for the mind that allowed them, that gave them, the intelligence in order to go out into space or wherever they go, beyond. So, to offer this to humanity. Abel is the religious order which came first. I go back to what we talked about earlier, right? Now we know in scripture say Cain was born first, but we're not talking about two individuals. We're talking about a community, a developing society. So the human society that had connection with God was first. That came first. That's Abel. That came first. And then Cain come out of that. He came later out of that deception because the first one was who? Adam. Wasn't Adam the righteous man? Wasn't he the righteous order that the God wanted to, to populate the earth with? Yes. So that came first. And then that deception came later in deceiving and brought him down. This is what Imam Muhammad has given us in his understanding, his life, his study of what he has studied in Bible and Quran. So the life that Allah wants to develop, the spiritual and the moral nature of the human being. Allah wants that to develop. The spiritual and that moral nature of the human family. That's Abel. That's what he wants. That's Abel. The life that Allah wants to lead lead both the spiritual and the material development of man. He wants both to lead. The spiritual and the material development. He don't just want the man to be all spiritual or be all material. He wants him to be the leader of both. And Cain was only working to extract the science out of matter, just for the science of the matter from the earth. The industrialists wanted to discredit the moral man and his building the world. He wanted to discredit the moral man, the man and woman that stood for morality, praising God, loving God, and at the same time using what God has given them out of their intelligence, out of the intellect, in order to build a world for the sake of Almighty God. But this type of thinking, this type of development in the world, they just wanted to praise the intellect.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about how corporate America would go into communities and disregard the environment and put a lot of poisons in the water, and this was $1.
Just for what?
The dollar bill.
Oh, well, yeah, just for the love of the money.
So the moral values are not there.
Oh, no, well, we can see, we know that's just not, that's not part of their plan, their forte or whatever. The industrialists wanted to discredit the moral, God-fearing man because he believed his offering to God was more of what God wanted and what society needs. So this is what he wanted to discredit the moral man because he thought what he offered out of his intelligence, out of his intellect, he thought more this is what God really wants. And this is what society needs. They don't need to be all religious and everything. They want to be religious, that's fine. But that's not what really is going to get you ahead in life. So he tried to discredit he tried to discredit that type of person or those type of people that think and want to live that way. So Cain became enraged in God's accepting Abel's offer. And go back to this is the offering. What Abel offered, God accepted it. So Cain became enraged at what God accepted in Abel's offering and rejecting his. So he picked up a stone and hit his brother in the head. Now, if we really would look at that picture, in just a physical sense, one man taking a rock up and knocking the other man and his blood running all down in the dirt. What would that actually mean? I mean, would that really have any real meaning in life? So that goes on every day. Somebody kills somebody every day.
Other than the violence we already see.
I didn't say.
Other than the violence we already see is depicted.
If we didn't have this type of understanding, what kind of elevation in our thinking can we get out of that simple picture? Yes, sir.
That he was working against his thinking. Knocking him upside the head with a stone
Hey,
is trying to get rid of that mindset, trying to get rid of that thinking that he had.
that's what the whole thing is about. He wanted to take out that type of order. So it's actually when you apply that to on the higher level of society, one society want to dominate the other one by taking it out, overshadowing it in its existence. So it seems very small, insignificant, and basically killing it.
Doesn't it also seem as if he has the nature of Shaitan? That's the kind of spirit that he had. It seemed like he's adopted that spirit of rejecting God. Like that's the same type of spirit.
That is the type of spirit.
Yeah.
Also, let me understand, rock means logic.
I think
It's logic. So if you hit him in the head.
I didn't really get that part. You may hear explain that later because actually, when I'm talking about
his logic, with his logic, he's trying to put his logic in.
this is where I get all this book here. It's in this book. I got this off just everything I'm talking about. I got off 2 pages out of this book. Okay.
What's the page?
Actually, it's page 121. It started on the bottom 121 and to 123. Cain and Abel. So it picks up a rock and hit his brother in the head with it, killing him. So he kills his brother because people prefer what Abel offered to God instead of what he offered. Don't people do that? Yeah. If you take, just say for instance, you take 2 corporations. They both manufacture coats. But this company over here, it makes coats and people love the coat that it makes. People buying it. But this company over here also make coats, but people are not really buying the coats that like the way they would like to buy the coats, people to buy the coats. So they figure out some deceptive means to try to get rid of this company over here because this is the competition we got to get rid of because it's causing us all kind of problems. If we continue to let them exist, we're going to go under. So they use the deception method to try to deceive. So they come out of all kinds of schemes and things to try to discredit this company over here. So the people will see, they will think that this company over here is, we don't need to do business with them because they're doing this and this and this and this. When actually not doing any of it. So they make them look bad in the eyes of the people. So the people come over here and buy the crooked coats with a crooked company. Yes.
To go along with what Sister Monica was saying, is we're not far removed from that original violence. The society is still portraying that.
It has. We can look at that type of thinking from more than one angle. The Cain and Abel angle. We also, Imam Muhammad in one of his other lectures talked about the Gog, Magog, and using every term, the Jew, Maju, when you mean one having a head and another one have no head, head and no head. The one that has head is extremism, extreme leadership. And out of that kind of thinking, they become dictator leadership and all type of leaders that just want to just overbearing the people with, the type of leadership that they have. And the other type is lawlessness. And enticing in people that pretty much they can just, you don't really have to answer to anybody higher authority. So when people think like that, they don't really have to answer to a higher authority in life, or in this life or the next life. They don't believe, they see that it's insignificant. So they pretty much just do what they want to do in life. That's the mega, the lawlessness. No head, extreme head, no head, extreme leadership, no leadership. And it took Dhul Qarnayn to build up a type of we use the wall, but it's actually it's a wall of knowledge, and how to deal with that type of thinking of that type of people, those type of people in society, because they're real and they exist. But we have to understand how to navigate through those type of things. But we can't do it if we don't really have to understand exactly who they are. So we're dealing with that same type of thinking now. So came the industrialist order. The industrialist order came what? Tuba came. Tuba came. Industrialization, modernization of the world to impress what? The intellect. They impress the intellect. They build to impress the intellect, to marvel at their thinking, their ability to create and design for the good of the human family. True, the human family benefit this, but they build for the sake of building, to look good in the eyes of the people, not in the eyes of God. So designing and building to impress. So from this, we heard of Cain is reed. Reed. R-E-E-D. What's a reed?
It's a tube, it's a hollow tube.
It's a hollow tube, but actually it's a type of plant.
Okay.
When you look it up, it gives you a plant. It's a plant. Now, some of them are actually flowers. They're some really beautiful, nice looking flowers, but they're plants. If we, you see them mostly along, if we're driving along the open road, and we might look to the left or right, and we see a lot of tall, especially in water, in the area, maybe we see a lot of water, they grow. And they may be as big as your finger, some about no bigger than your thickness of your finger, or maybe thinner, or some maybe thicker. But they basically hollow inside. They grow. They don't grow crooked like trees. They don't grow. They grow straight up. It's a straight up plant. It's called a reed. It doesn't have body. It doesn't have body in its stem like some other plants or tree. A tree is firm, right? A tree has firmness, stability, and it's solid all the way through. And a tree is like a sheep. It gives out more out of what God has given it. What do I mean by that? It has branches. The birds and make nests on the branches. The branches have leaves. The leaves give it shade. That's the last result. If it's a fruit-bearing tree, it gives fruit. The people eat of the fruit, in order to live. They make all type of fruit pies and things. It gives and gives and gives more out of what God has given it. And then we cut it down and build our house. So it's a plant, it's a tree that gives. What a reed is not like that. It doesn't give. All they do is it exists. And it's like a reed is a stalk, is hollow inside, and its purpose is not to have firmness of body. That's not the purpose. It won't support a bird nest. You might find some really, really light nests on some of them. But birds, they're not strong enough to hold a good solid nest from a bird or maybe some other type of dwelling that a creature might make on there. Its purpose is to establish a discipline that is not to be violated. What I mean by that? Everything that grows up after that around it, just like it. It grows straight up and don't offer any support to anything else. It grows just, and some of them are nice looking too. They're beautiful. They're flowers. You know, some people manage to take them, and the companies actually take some of those flowers and they make somehow they treat them where they last, you know, and you can put them in like a big old vase or something and keep them in your house and put the hell inside. So it's purpose to establish a discipline that is not to be violated, to establish a premise. And the second and third and the fourth come just like the first. It is that. So if we want to look at that, like in a sense, in a type of leadership, there's a certain type of leadership that establishes its leadership. And any leadership that can come after it is patterned after that same leadership, a strict discipline, not violating the certain principles that has been established for that leadership. If it deviates, it may be disconnected from that first. And everything after that is established the same way, the second and third and fourth. So this is the type of, remember, he's connecting this with Cain in his type of building, his type of mindset, his type of thinking, that type of discipline. Where in this structure of society is pretty much built the same way. So it don't really offer the people any real substance, any real connection to God. It can't, because this is the offering it's making to God and they think it's acceptable. But they don't understand that Allah is much wiser than that. He knows everything, every thought, everything that comes into our mind is to go out of our mind. But they don't see it like that. They think, some people actually think they can fool God. And they're thinking, they think they can. And they may acknowledge that God, exists, but they don't understand what he really wants of his human servants, because they have been deceived and blinded by all the things that Shaitan had thrown at them and got them off course. So this is the type of society that we are faced with today. And it is now, Cain killing his brother Abel is actually that this type of order is trying to snuffle out the religious order that is in the world, trying to snuffle it out. Cain killing Abel. Cain represent those things that more or less material oriented. Abel represent the human nature that has stayed connected with Almighty God. You can put it that simple, and make it as simple as possible. So this reed plant is a symbolic of that type of thinking, that type of nature in certain parts of our society, of the world. They grow straight up, they give no support to other life. The person of the material logic follow that same course and see religion as insignificant. The design of certain musical instrument came from this idea of tuba cane. Is that right?
Right.
They're hollow inside, such as the horn family. Horns are hollow inside, right? And that's where they get the sound from. But when you blow into it, the horn, it reflects the spirit of the instrument. Is that right? When you're blowing a horn, the horn sound, you can tell a saxophone from a trumpet from a flute from whatever other kind of a horn that they may be blowing. The ear can hear that. They can tell they don't have to see it, You know, but when you blow into it, it reflects the spirit of the instrument, but the skilled musician can make the instrument reflect his spirit. So when you have somebody that's really good, you can tell they have their spirit. Now, there's nothing really wrong with that because this is he's not disrespecting the instrument because he has put his spirit into that instrument. And even though the horn is reflecting what it is or what type of instrument it is, but it's also telling something about the person that is blowing the horn. It's reflecting his spirit. Now,
I mean, Mama said it was the tune that he likes.
the tune that he likes. Now, this is what, so the modern industry, the modern mode of industry became a tool to house that spirit. The spirit, what? The spirit of man. So he has built society. The modern society is reflecting, is using that same method, just like the musician. He's gotten so skilled and good at what he does or what she does. It's reflecting their spirit in the instrument that they're blowing. I love to listen to certain artists. I would listen to one of the old artists, Junior Walker. I was listening to
What does it take?
I don't know if that was sung, but Junior Walker, I noticed that he blows the horn, he also sings. And I noticed that whenever he's blowing the horn, you don't hear his voice singing. Because when he's singing, the saxophone stops. So he's able to, in just that second, blowing his horn, and then when he stops, he starts singing. And he go from singing to blowing his horn. And I thought that was very unique because it takes a lot of wind to be able to do that and control. So I noticed that, you have to have really control over what you do and what are you doing with your instrument, your musical instrument. And I can tell his music from, say, another artist who may be blowing a saxophone, because he has the ability to go from singing to blowing, from singing to blowing all throughout the records. I'm trying to think of the name of the song, but
What does it take?
no, it was a fast beat. Yeah, it was fast. It was fast, man. Road Runner. That was the song I was listening to, Road Runner. Yeah, when he's been singing the song called Road Runner, and he's blowing, he's singing, he's blowing and singing. So he's respecting that's his spirit that he's putting into that song, into that musical instrument. So this is same spirit, the material environment contains that same spirit, the spirit of Cain. So the material environment that has been developed, that has developed over time, has the Cain spirit in it, not the spirit of Abel. There are some, of course, yes, but they're most like isolated in certain, you really have to kind of like look and try to find a type of society or a community that is actually developed and kept the spirit of Abel, wanted to exist to please God, not just for the sake of having a huge edifice or corporation or building. We have countries that build towers, and we see like one is trying to outbuild the other one. If one got 110 story up, I'm gonna do 115. I'm gonna do 100. I'm gonna outdo them. It's tallest building in the world, 120 story high. The next will be 130 story high. They go so high up. I don't know what happened. I would not want to go that high. No, that's too high for me. I've been on the Sears Tower one time in my life, and I did not feel comfortable up there. That was way back before they even changed the name. About 30 years ago. I remember when they were building that building. I was working out in the post office in 1971. I started. That was when they started working on that building. It took them about 3 years to complete it. They worked on that building, went up. You had to look up, but you fall over backwards trying to see the top of it. I said, man, that is too much building for me. Yeah, but people like that. Some people love that type of height. I can't feel comfortable at all.
But the
tallest building used to be the Prudential Building over on Randolph.
The potential plaza.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
And, Najee, isn't there, I know it's not called a parable, but isn't there something that says that the Bedouin Arab would build, towers that reach higher than any other,
The who?
the Bedouin?
Oh,
Something about the Bedouin
okay.
will be.
The Arabs.
Yeah,
Well, I don't know.
What?
You read that somewhere?
somewhere, or I heard it on YouTube, but you know, and now in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, they have, they're trying to rival the height.
No, it's a competition for who can build the tallest building. Show how much money they can spend.
They have all the money they can own.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing about it. They marvel at building all these huge buildings,
Yeah.
spending billions and billions of dollars in it, but still there's so many people in the world, in their own country,
They could help.
that they can help. America is no exception.
Yeah.
So we spend so much money, we waste so much money, so much food, and yet you have people don't even have enough money, don't even have food to eat on a daily basis. They don't, it's, So, but there are some people who see this and they want to do whatever they can out of their humanity to try to help people have a better life. This is able. This is the type of mind, this is the type of thinking that we want to, that wants to please God. So God accepts that. He accepts that sacrifice. He accepts that offering from people. But he don't really care for the offering that people just want to try to please God out of their own, establishment or their own type of intellectual thinking. Yeah. So this came. It grew and grew and grew. This type of society made an offering or sacrifice to God of what it has established in the world, and Allah rejected it because he did not make the first sacrifice, which is what? The moral sacrifice. The first sacrifice, the moral sacrifice, is hollow inside, like that reed plant. They offer to God, but what God is, he don't want that. It's hollow. So the sacrifice of giving itself to willingly, unselfishly giving more out of what you don't need. What did Allah say in the Quran? He says, spend out of what I have given you. Allah has given a lot of people in the world way more than what they need. Billions and billions and hundreds of billions of dollars, or even just millions of dollars, or hundreds of millions of dollars. So how many of those people really take that and use it in the way of able use it?
Very few.
Very few. There are some, there are a lot. There are some people who actually give, they give. They realize the blessing that God has given them, so they understand that it's important to really give, back, to try to help people. But a lot of rich people, they don't like to see other rich people help poor people. They don't. Yeah. They say you violating the principle. So is that reed principle? You're violating that reed principle of staying straight up and not being, you're not supposed to spread your branches out like this. You're supposed to keep them close and produce and reproduce your own kind. They don't like to see other, people wealth giving away their money.
On the contrary, they're using their wealth to influence the laws so that they keep more, the disparity between them
Keep it in.
have-nots.
They try to keep it under the control. So the killing of Abel by his brother Cain is the world growing in material power over religious order, making it more important in the lives and in the lives of people. It's trying to please God in order to please God. Today, people are in a state of want and survival. If they can't get what they want or need by earning it, what do? They take it. They try to take it from somebody else. Out of want or need. They tried to steal it, take it, do whatever they want, deceive people out of it, any way they can get it.
Mostly wrong.
Mostly one. This increased lawlessness, crime, killing, gambling, etc. You name it. This is what all this come out of. And killing his brother, killing the what? The righteous order. Praise be to Allah. Actually, I could have added more on this here. I really just on the study of Cain and Abel by, as I said, I took this talk out of this book here by Imam Muhammad, Commentaries on Selected Verses of the Holy Quran. Commentaries by Imam Muhammad when he talks about Cain and Abel. That this book is, he has chosen out of all the verses of the Quran, he comment on something from every verse from every surah of the Quran. Every surah of the Quran, he has chosen a certain ayat or verse that we may use the English term, and made some explanation on this. Some he gave, more than others. But what I usually do, whenever I choose a topic, if I want to get his understanding of what his tafsir on the particular topic that I'm talking about, I will go to his book and I see if he had what he has to say about this particular ayah in the Quran, his explanation on it. And then I also read that ayah in the Quran, and I read, the footnotes of if I'm using Yusuf Ali, his footnotes, what he says also. And I will look the certain words I may look up in Arabic and get the Arabic explanation on what the Arabic is said of the meaning, the broader meaning of, certain words. And then you begin to, put everything together and, with the understanding that Allah has blessed me to have on the particular topic. And I found out that, by doing this, it actually, helps me. Because a lot of times, I'm here talking, it may seem like that I've known this all the time a lot. No. Some of this information I may have just got it the night before. Yeah, I was here yesterday until 5 o'clock. I didn't leave here till 5 o'clock until, putting this together. I had did this talk last month, but it was June. I was only about 30 minutes to work the talk. And I'm not even through with it yet. There's still more to add to this.
I was gonna say, do it again.
Next time I do it, I'll probably add a little more to it. I will recap what we have today, but at the same time, okay, because he goes into more. There's about 2 or 3 more pages that his explanation on Cain and Abel. And because he says, he talked about being our brother's keeper. Being our brother's keeper, he easily used some hadith of the prophet. We're not supposed to, just because he's doing all this wrong, we're not supposed to write him off. We're all supposed to do what? As the prophet said, when you see him, you're supposed to pull him back. Try to get him to stop doing what he's doing. So it's saying this, that whatever, all this stuff we're talking about, going on in society, we're supposed to use what God has given us to try to, not kill it, but stop, get it to stop doing so much wrong and hurting people. Yeah, stop hurting people. That's what we're supposed to look at it. But we're not supposed to, take the life that is forbidden. The only life that we take with the name of God, but that's the life just like that has been just taking other innocent life. Just take for instance, a serial killer. A serial killer just going around killing other people. If there's no reform from him, it's more of a mercy. He got to stop what he's doing. So it's taking his life. It's a mercy to him, a mercy to society, and that's what you have to do. But you do it with God's name. God's name. And Allah tells us, he tells the people that was in battle with the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, it wasn't you who killed them, it was Allah. It was your hand that struck the enemy, but you did it with Allah's name. So whatever we do in life, we always say what? Bismillah, with Allah's name. It doesn't matter if we're stepping out the door or putting a piece of food in our mouth or going to the store to get a loaf of bread. Bismillah, with Allah's name. That's what? That's dhikr. That's remembering God. And right now we're coming up on the month of Ramadan, which is another day, a couple of days or so. And we're supposed to reflect. It's a time of reflection, remembering God, and emerging ourselves into, like the Prophet did in this cave. Prophet Muhammad, we studied his history, and he was always a man that he just wanted to know the truth of the world. He wanted to know the truth. He wanted to be guided. He wanted to know why things were the way they were. Why were people doing all these crazy things in life? Why can't people live, the life for, goodness, and practice goodness in life? And all this corruption is going on in his time. He was so disturbed by it. So he just took himself away. So this is telling us that, when we fast, of course, the revelation came in the month of Ramadan, right? Came in the month of Ramadan. He was almost at the end, but he had a few more days to complete when he got the revelation, when you see the revelation. And that interrupted his retreat. But after the angel came to him and went to his wife and got, solace, he got, comfort, and his mind, his soul, and his spirit was calmed down. He went back to complete his retreat. Even though Allah had revealed to him about fasting immediately, but he went back to finish the retreat. And once he finished his retreat, he went straight to the Kaaba to talk to Waraka, the wise man of his wife, a relative of his wife. And he told him that you are the next prophet of Almighty God, and you've got to prepare yourself for that. So Allah had blessed us with, to be in the position that we're in. And he has a mission for each and every one of us. So we have to be prepared for that mission and just let Allah guide us, whatever that is, wherever he takes us. Just be honest, be sincere, and wanting to help God in whatever way he want to help us. This is able. And not because of what we're so much of this or so much of that we think that because, and let that be guided. But that was the thinking of what? Iblis, right? Because of his smarts, his intellect, his intellectual abilities, that he thought he should be the leader. He thought this is what God. But we don't want to put ourselves before God, before Allah in any kind of way. Prophet Muhammad never, ever put himself before Allah in the revelation. There was a time in his history that he had to be admonished. It was a couple of times. One with the blind man, but Imam Tamir explained that blind man situation. It wasn't really talking about a physical sight, but it's society can be blind. Our thinking can be blind. The thing that we see, the thing that we interpret can be blind in that sense. But in the other instance was when he wanted to give the answer to the leaders of the Quraysh about, the question that was asked, called the book they called the 3 questions. And he said, I'll give you the answer tomorrow. Tomorrow came, he didn't have the answer. Next day, a couple of weeks went by, he still. And then the angel came to him and told him that, he taught him that, that he can't say those things, what you're going to do the next day without first bringing God forward and saying if it pleases God. And I noticed Imam Muhammad, he would always say, if it pleases God. he admonished us about saying inshallah, inshallah, inshallah all the time. He said, and I noticed his word, he said, he will say whatever he's going to do, and he will at the end, if it pleases God, if it pleases Allah. So that's the same thing, but I think he saw his community was just like those words were just being coming out of our mouths and didn't really understand what they meant. Meaning of it. They wasn't really making the connection that he thought they should make. So he told us that, we need to be careful. So that's what you have a leader for. And he had put so many things in place to keep us guided right. So praise be to Allah. That's the end of my presentation for today on Cain and Abel. And I pray that Allah has blessed us to, understand a little bit more. Yes.
Before we close out, Sister Bahira was going to give us some information from the event.
Oh, okay. You want to come up now, Sister Bahir?
Yes.
Okay, hold on.
Surprise.
You can have, come this way. Yeah, come this way.
She can close us out.
This little thing here, if you can pin it on your sweater somewhere and just talk.
Oh,
It's just close, close to you. Yeah, just pinch it on there. You don't have to put that high. It don't have to be that high. That's good.
Assalamualaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful Benefactor, the Merciful Redeemer, I thank Allah for this opportunity and for Imam Omar to come before you and give you a short history of the International League of Muslim Women. I've been a member of this league for approximately 17 years, secretary for about 10 years. And we are not just here in Chicago, but we're all over the United States, different chapters. And this is the Chicago chapter. Yesterday, on March the 18th, we had our 21st annual grandmother, mother-daughter brunch. I'll just give you a little history of the league. Our mission statement says the International League of Muslim Women is a nonprofit women's organization grounded in Islamic tenets throughout the United States, utilizing collective resources to promote empowerment through philanthropy, humanitarian work, service, and volunteerism, and educational research, development that will enable individuals and families alike to see opportunities instead of obstacles in the enrichment of the world. Our vision is to be a model women organization that will empower individuals and or families, providing appropriate service will enable recipients to attain necessary skills to improve and sustain the quality of our lives. Our objectives are to promote unity by collaborating with organizations in the promotion of positive community development, to promote the need of awareness and understanding of diverse communities, to provide service to the organized segment of communities, to engage in interfaith dialogue and programs to foster better understanding, and to improve positive education and social programs for our youth. So we're not just a woman organization sitting doing anything. We're trying to be a help, make a difference in society by promoting what Allah wants us to do, to be out there in the communities, to help each other, to socialize, to get to know one another. That's what Allah put us here for, to get to know one another. Yesterday, we had our 21st annual program, and it was beautiful. Everything was very nice. I mean, the sisters were all beautiful. We enjoyed each other's company. We socialized, we laughed, we talked, we ate, we had plenty of good food to eat. Matter of fact, probably too much. But yeah, it was very good. We also give out awards to different people. We don't just, give lip service. We try to make people appreciate and show gratitude for things that they do in the community. For instance, we had Sister Clara Tech Robbie. She was a musician and she performs with the Chicago Symphony Orchestra and also with the Los Angeles Philharmonic Orchestra. And she had beautiful music. And I was just reading on her bio here, it says that she reduces biological measures of stress, such as blood pressure, heart and respiratory rate. Well, we need that. I definitely need that. I wonder why I was sitting there trying to go to sleep. She was making me feel better through her music. I mean, it was just so soothing. The lights were out and
Meditation.
yeah, you would wish you were in a spa somewhere, but it was really nice. We also had, excuse me here. We had Dr. Jalara Saeed. She's was an award-winning teacher, administrator, a non-profit civic leader, and a social impact teacher and entrepreneur. We appreciate those type of people. Yes, ma'am.
And also, I like the way that's the one that work at Northwestern. And she said they will be opening up a place for blood pressure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Then we had Tequila Sayers. Miss Sayers was, she's worked with the Girl Scouts for over 20 years. She's given all this good time, and service just to try to help out girls, working with the Girl Scouts. I know when I worked with the Girl Scouts for a while, it was very rewarding, to work with them, go on their trips, help sell their products, just to do things in the community to keep the girls interested. We also had Dr. Gloria Bashir, one of our own. Sister Bashir is a social worker and an acupuncturist. And she works at the Salon Wellness Center. So we always said, that was wonderful. We had Yamini Elamine. She's a 19-year-old at the University of Chicago. Yes, ma'am.
What I noticed this year, that we're getting more younger sisters, and they were expressing themselves.
Yes, that's what we want. We want the youth. We need the youth. That's how we're gonna keep going. That's right. We have to have the youth. Excuse me, we had a 19-year-old. She's a sophomore at the University of Illinois and majoring in business administration and management. We value our young women, we have to have more women in business. So we have to promote them. We have to show them that we are appreciative of them. So we give awards to our young. We also have our very own Sister Monica Rasul. Yes, Sister Monica, right, who is a licensed, specialized foster parent, took care of foster children, even in her own family. Now that's love, that's giving love, that you're reaching out and trying to help someone else, some other families, children. Our kids need that love and nourishment, So we're not just a group of women sitting around doing anything. We're trying to make a difference in the world and do what Allah wants us to do. So just to give you.
I'm just curious, we didn't get an ad for the book?
Pardon?
Oh,
It's in there.
Did you have an ad? Did Baha Silla have an ad for the book?
Yes, we had one. It's in the, near the back.
Oh. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yes, we did. I personally asked for it. So we do have an ad. You see it?
sorry.
Okay.
I
Okay,
was looking for something.
yeah, we had one. So, yeah, so just to give you a short thing on what the International League of Muslim Women do. And we're always looking for new members, always. The more we have, the more we can do, you know, to help in this cause.
When did the Chicago chapter come into existence?
I'm not sure, but they've been over 20 years. I don't know exactly when the Chicago chapter became, but I became a member like 17 years ago.
This is
Okay.
around 25.
Yeah, so, yeah. So, thank you, Brother Omar, for this opportunity to let everyone know about the Chicago chapter of the International League of Muslim Women. And don't forget, we're always looking for new members. Thank you.
You know, and think about it, you all have been doing this mother-daughter,
Well, this is the 21st.
21st year?
Yeah,
Oh, y'all been doing it for 21 years.
yeah, I've been doing it for 21 years. Yes, and it's not just here in Chicago. They do it all over.
Yeah.
And we have, we even, you know, try to reach out to our immigrant brothers and sisters, you know. We help them also. I know one year we gave to the immigrants, we gave blankets and, you know, basic needs
Yeah.
that came here to America.
Right.
So we try to help and do whatever we can do. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
No, get the microphone. Let's take that.
I forgot I even had the microphone.
That's okay. Just pinch it and pull it.
We're not used to being.
Yeah, you need
You
to
get
take this thing off.
Oh, okay. Ooh. Easy does it. It's got to call up in there.
Caught up in the,
Oh, I just take it. Take it. No, go the other way.
I mean, you know, right.
Whoa. He's gonna help you. He's gonna help you. Your husband gonna help you.
Free at last. Wow, thank you. Thank you. Wow.
No, see, up here in there. Okay. Okay, alhamdulillah. Thank you, Sister Bahira from the International League of Muslim Women. The organization has been around for a couple of decades or more. So we thank Allah for them. We thank Allah for all the efforts that they're giving to help the, help uplift society, especially society of women. Mhm. What is that?
They gave them.
Okay, this is from the Jihad Bashir Support Foundation. Will host its 27th annual scholarship award program of Jamal Bashir / JB Studio. Will present the Future Artists Scholarship on Saturday, April 22nd, 2023 from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Just join us in the awarding of scholarship, dinner, and great entertainment. Reserve your ticket now. Seating is limited. Dressy attire. Become a sponsor. All proceeds are tax deductible and go toward the scholarship and the foundation of the program, the foundations of the program. Number of tickets at the door, ticket donations, $35 for adults, $25 for seniors, $15 for teens, $10 for child 4 to 12. Thank you for your support. For more information, contact us at 773-651-4609 or email at jbsf1996@gmail.com. And again, phone number 773-651-4609 or email at jbsf1996@gmail.com. That's to get tickets to the Jihad Bashir Support Foundation. That's Saturday, April 22nd in 2023 at 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Okay, that's the application for you to purchase a ticket.
Also,
She said she'll let everybody. She said she'll let everybody know where it's gonna be.
Yeah, the notice didn't have a place.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, sir.
don't forget the announcement for,
Ramadan?
Ramadan.
Yeah, I'll give it, make
what
it.
activities we're gonna be having.
Yes, the month of Ramadan, the first United Iftar will be hosted by the Masjid Taqwa here at the Bahar.
Yes.
Gonna hurt both. One, then the second. So,
Right by here, right, Sister Karen? The first Saturday is supposed to be at the bar, right?
The
Okay.
25th, yeah.
okay, we'll be hosting. The Ibn Bahar Center will be hosting the first United Iftar between the Ibn Bahar Culture Center and Masjid El Taqwa for Iftar. So in whatever times the sun set, that's what time the Iftar will start.
Right, and also we will have sponsor, who will be sponsoring the food for the iftar is IGNA.
Oh, ISNA.
With the IGNA,
IGNA?
right.
Yeah, I saw that.
Islamic Society of North America with Brother Ikram. But we're not telling people not to bring food. We're gonna still let people know if they want to bring food to bring a dish and whatnot, because, I just want to be
Mhm.
like they did us for the rally and just bought 24 book bags.
So the first, the Iftar will be found here, be sponsored by the IPNA organization,
Right.
but we still encourage the believers to bring a dish. That's always been our tradition anyway. Bring a dish. It doesn't have to be a big dish, just bring something
Only Saturday,
besides
Sunday,
the appetite.
only Saturday, Sunday, not Friday.
That's,
Friday,
we will be, even Bahar Center would be doing Iftar here at our site Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But we will be hosting with Master Taqwa on Saturday. And now we will rotate back and forth on Saturday only. But we will be doing the Iftar here every weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, except for the time we'll be at Taqwa. So we go back and forth. So we actually come out to 2 and 2.
right, and we will be doing the Salat,
The Torah repair.
for those, for right now, we're gonna be doing it on Zoom. So that, yeah, going from Monday to Thursday,
Mhm.
we'll be doing it on Zoom.
On Zoom.
And I'm sorry, for the whole month we'll be doing it on Zoom, even when we come out, because there are gonna be other people that
Exactly.
might not be able to make it.
We would be doing, we'll be doing the whole Salat, the whole entire month of Ramadan, we will be doing it on Zoom.
Yeah, so we will be sharing it with the believers.
So I believe that when we at Taqwa, they will have their own Zoom link. So we probably be forwarding that information out when we get it from Masjid Taqwa.
Exactly.
So we'll be doing it on Zoom for those who cannot come out physically on those weekends. Yes, sir.
Friday, that lady brought some flyers over there. And I had some descriptions.
Yeah, we actually discussed that yesterday at the meeting.
Oh,
It
okay.
was pointed out. Yeah, when Omar and myself and brother Saeed, we looked at those flyers and we,
They did.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, there was some discrepancies on there. It's just that people don't really know our history and recognize our history and our connection with our leaders in the past the way we do.
Right.
Yeah.
And not just that, a lot of them really think that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad practiced shirk.
Right.
That's the main reason why you don't see his
That's why
picture.
They really try to.
They don't.
single him out. They don't realize, that he taught what he knew,
Right.
and he only knew what he was taught from his teacher.
Right.
You know, so it wasn't that he was actually teaching shirk with intentions to teach shirk. He was only taught what he knew. He didn't even know Islam. It's almost
That's
like
right.
some of us,
Mhm.
we're Muslims and whatnot, but you know, we still are students with questions and stuff, you know? So we are liable to fall into some bad ideas, some bad information and run with it until we know better.
But you know what?
It's not our intention to be that way.
No, when we studied the life of Prophet Muhammad, we'll see a lot of things that went on in his history prior to him. He allowed those things because what he was doing, he was refining humanity. He had used the country of Arabia and all its connection with all the idolatry and all these practices of shirk, worshiping the wrong God. He was refining, bringing it to up and leading up to Muhammad the prophet. Now, when he did that, it's a part of the history, but we understand why things was done the way it was done, because that's all the people knew. You know, the Arabs, they were not non-religious people. They believed in religion, but it just was their concept of religion. It was so messed up and backwards. But it took, you know, that type of happening. It took that birth, that womb that the prophet came out of, to really to get people to understand. And once they understood it, they start practicing the way it was supposed to be practiced. Yeah.
But she did make a statement that they were gonna get that straightened out.
What's that?
Get it straight, you know, like for the imam and I guess on the life on.
Right. Alhamdulillah, that's good. So anyway, yeah, that's and actually just one more note. When we really study the things that our Imam has given us, he showed us a really parallel. There's a certain parallel between the prophet, peace be upon him, the community that he established, and the community that was established by the Almighty Muhammad. He saw a certain parallel in things that went on. And if we haven't really understood that parallel and really studied that parallel, if we really take some time to really look, you know, with an eye, you know, a real eye, and understand, without prejudice, we understand that. I know I have looked at it several times, and I can see a certain parallel, you know, going back to the history of the prophet, prior to his coming on the scene, and then leading all the way up to the birth of the prophet, and then that parallel between the nation of Islam. I'm not saying that Elijah Muhammad was a prophet. No, he called himself the messenger of Allah, and we thought he was. But we didn't understand who the messenger of Allah is. What makes a messenger of Allah? So we
didn't understand Islam.
Didn't understand
we didn't
Islam.
know about this Islam until the man worked Imam.
Exactly.
So we actually thought we had Islam.
Exactly.
We was telling the people who had Islam they was wrong. Right.
Well, see, Allah protect us in our ignorance. He protected us in our ignorance.
Right.
But our heart was sincere.
Right.
And because our heart was sincere, he gave us the real light. So praise be to Allah. So that's about all the announcement we're gonna have. Anything else? Anybody else? Let me close out with the one.
We just want to recognize also our sick and shut in.
Oh, yes, of course. We still have people from our community, and we all want to recognize.
Sister Amatullah.
Yeah, Sister Amatullah Sharif. We make a dua for her. We want to recognize Sister. Is she in the still in the rehab? I know I read in the notes, text that she was in rehab.
She went back to her company of Mary.
She back in the hospital?
She should be back at the rehab today.
Oh, okay,
They're
wow.
gonna keep her there 3 days and then she's going back to rehab.
Well, we pray
But I
that.
don't know if she went to the same one or not. Yeah.
But we just want to pray that Allah bless her to be, you know, to please heal her and bless her to come back among her family and among her community. We also pray for Brother Raymond. I understand he's still in when I visited him, he said he's gonna be there about 4 or 5 weeks. So, you know, he was trying to walk out of there. I said, "Brother, you can't, they ain't gonna let you do that." He said, "I gotta get out of here." I said, "Well."
He said his breathing is better. and he's
Alhamdulillah.
walking more.
I said, "What?"
His breathing is better. He's walking more. He has to get his breathing
Yeah.
better before he can go home.
Alhamdulillah, yeah, that's so. And also, do we have any more? Oh, yeah, Sister Shirley, our secretary, the Bahar Senate secretary. We may do out for her that Allah bless her, you know, too. I know she said she wasn't feeling well. We pray that Allah give her strength and her health back so she'll be able to, you know, be able to function again and keep her, you know, healthy. We pray for Sister Minnie. I know she's such a dedicated sister and she have a wealth of information. And she just, you know, you have to, you know, she just meant nothing but good, but you have to realize that. So, yeah.
And Sister Mildred, she told me to give everyone the greetings. That's Sister Josephine's daughter. She called me. She's in Arizona now.
Oh, really?
That's where she's at.
Oh,
She
okay.
told me to
Oh,
give
she
everyone
down there with
the
Sister Aziza. Oh, okay. So praise be to Allah.
Also, congratulations to Sister Mira. She got married last week.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, she did.
She met her brother from St. Louis. I know my wife was telling me about she's scheduled to get married, so
It was on the ropes for a little bit, but.
At first,
congratulations, Samira.
she wanted to be surprised, but she said later on they will do something in Chicago. So everyone can come.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. So any more announcement? That's gonna be it. Let's make a do it.
Oh, one more thing too.
Mhm.
In our meeting, we had, I put what in that thing, he ain't stood back up yet. I'll put it over there with the meeting.
The one that,
It's drooping down, right?
Maybe too much. You think
I
it's
mean,
too
I
much?
don't know, maybe it's cold out. But I'm sorry,
yeah, go ahead.
I just noticed them, so I, you know, me and him have a relationship, so that's. So we actually did some planning on our Pioneer Social.
Oh, yeah.
That's gonna happen in June. And so we have a time, we said from 1 to
4 or 5.
4. Actually, we said from 1 to 5, but we advertised it from 1 to 4.
Mhm.
So if we do go over, if people want to hang around, we write in our time schedule and whatnot. So we want to have a program. We want to have an award for our pioneer. We're going to have 2 pioneers that we want to give awards from. And this Pioneer Social is for all of those people, no matter if you was with the Nation of Islam or if you are with our community, those people that soldier together, that work together, you know, to help build and help establish, no matter what their viewpoint is, they still have a relationship, we still have a connection, and that's still our legacy.
Right.
And we want to recognize pioneers, 2 pioneers, you know, that we'll choose in some kind of way. I don't know how we're gonna go through the process, and give them appreciation and whatnot. And also have, you know, somebody from the Nation of Islam to be representative, to say a few words on our connection and you know, that's not long-winded, maybe Sultan Muhammad or somebody like that, you know, and then somebody from our community to say something. And then, you know, you know, we're gonna have some food. And inshallah, you know, we'll try to get some entertainment too. I don't know what the entertainment is, but I would like to find some live entertainment that we can have, you know, I don't know if it's, you know, we can find a comedian or we can find somebody that sings or whatever, you know, we have to figure it out within the budget, you know. So.
But we'll be having some meetings on that.
Yeah, but
detail.
let me just say this real quick.
Sure.
We was trying to figure out a price for the ticket, but Imam Lars brought up the way that you figure out prices for the ticket. So once we find out what the cost of everything, then we can sit back and set the ticket price.
Right.
Because I said $30, and everybody was like, how you know what everything is gonna cost to justify $30? Because you might lose money. you know, if we want to have this kind of a program.
There you will.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, we have to do the math on it first.
Yes.
I'm gonna do the math
We're
first.
only gonna sell, 100 tickets. So whatever we get, we're only gonna sell 100 tickets for what we can see comfortably. We can get 112 in the table, but we'll shoot for 100. And then we'll leave the 12 left over for maybe somebody scrambling in because they didn't know we have a seat.
Hopefully. Okay. Yeah. So that's the Pioneer Social expected to take place at June
June 10th.
10th. June 10th. June 10th.
This gonna be on set.
We
Yeah.
have, I think next Saturday or March the 25th is the evening clothing of the homeless. That's supposed to happen that early in the day, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, Daryl used to be here about 7:30, 8 o'clock or something like that. And he goes out and then he come back, he's done pretty much like noon.
That's next Saturday, right?
Right. Also, next Saturday, our class, we're not stopping the class.
Okay.
We having our first class after, a little break then, about the next Saturday. It'll be 1 o'clock.
Well, next Saturday is not, next Saturday is, we'll be in Ramadan.
We'll be in Ramadan.
We'll be in Ramadan. Okay, yeah, that's the week that.
So those who can make it, can make it. If you can't,
Move the time up,
hmm?
rather than we come for the class and go home and come back.
Move it up to when? Like you mean we move it back, like
What?
4 o'clock, something like that?
Yeah. So it'll just, I'm speaking for me.
Well, that's not a bad idea.
Go right in.
Who's in the class who would like to see that?
What happened?
You're talking about moving the class like prior to iftar. So you won't have to go and come back later
Oh, yeah. Oh, you talking about for the Saturday?
for the Saturday study class.
Yeah.
Raise your hand.
That'd be good for me.
So we get through with the classes. then
So in other words,
Okay.
what are you saying, iftar is gonna be around 7?
Well, we can say what time it is later. Yeah.
So you saying the class will be about 5 o'clock or something? What are you saying?
Well, I didn't just find out exactly what time. If I can put the word out, but we're talking about
I'm just
moving.
saying, that everybody in agreement for around that time schedule, that's what I'm
Is
saying.
that?
Yeah.
That's just an hour, the class is an hour, correct?
Yeah, it's not gonna be extensive. It's just like, if we move it, we can just roll it right into iftar.
Because most people get off work at 5, they can be here by 6, those who work.
Okay, well, we can move it. I'm not sure what time this, iftar, could you take a quick look at the board and see what time the sunset on Saturday, 25th?
Oh, that's right.
What do you mean?
I'm thinking close, yeah, just on Saturday, but the closer the better.
Yeah, see what time, iftar.
They won't be asking.
So it's around 7:09.
So,
If you had a class about 5 o'clock, then
Okay.
that'll give people enough time between 5 and 6:30, the class will be over and then,
okay, so how's 5 o'clock? I mean, if you don't have to be exactly, time, we say 5 o'clock, if you get 5:30, that's all good. So we set it for 5 o'clock on the 25th.
we can go ahead here and discuss.
Oh, okay.
Doing the planning.
Okay.